So, I was just referring to the work that, great work done by Professor Irene Stephen. She's a Dutch professor, a full professor at International Institute of Social Studies. So, I have interacted with her, I have learned from her, like all other PhD students. When I was doing my PhD at Erasmus University more than a decade ago, I mean, she has developed some frameworks and indicators to quantify cultural dynamics. That's great work as well, because culture needs to be included in economic analysis, where you work with monetary aggregates. Basically, economics works with monetary aggregates. So, quantified variable and their availability makes empirical models more robust, and you can find policy applications and implications through detailed analysis, which may include developed countries as well as developing countries. So now coming back to this leadership aspect, economics generally is quite silent, but this Harvard University economics department chair, Glacier, would write something about more than a decade ago, and I reference it in my PhD thesis, that he would say that it's not really democracy which matters, but it is the leaders which matters. But then he's taking motivation from political economic theories rather than pure economics. What he is, everybody would understand, especially development economies would understand that there's so much emphasis on democracy, and then what a straight conjecture would be, there is a democratic leadership, or there could be less than democratic leadership in any of the developed or developing countries, while at the same time the leadership would be defined through the policies and its impact, and that would be economic policies. Glacier did a innovative, seminal work on that, and I will build on that as well through my notes. But what I'm emphasizing is these notes would try to motivate students and researchers that how to really bring leadership as an inherent variable in an economic analysis, in the theories of capitalism, in neoclassical analysis, instead of just there's a whole literature available in business, which is business literature, management sciences literature. Being I was very familiar with it, being at the University of Management and Technology. The leadership is generally seen as understanding leadership, its different styles. The research is mostly available for analyzing business leaders or corporations. It's not really available for political leadership, whereas political leadership is mostly identified through democracy. But then these are changing times, as one can understand from the example of the oldest democracy in the United States of America, as well as largest democracy in India. And there is China. China excellently, amazingly revolutionized economic analysis with real data by achieving sustainable economic growth rate for decades. China, East Asia are the examples to then understand what leadership should be in economics. So, but where this framework really started, as human social evolution, if you look at that, being a Pakistani and being a Muslim, I have full confidence, that leadership and it's what it should be about is understood through religion, Abraham religion, which talks about prophets of Allah, Moses to Jesus to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But one thing needs to be understood, though they were kingdoms, they were defined more with power. But prophethood is defined through delegating power. It is defined through a certain divine interjections and understandings that every human is equal to each other, and it was centered around human welfare, human economic and social development. And Islam, Sharia especially, these Islamic scholars are the real, the sources for all the wisdom about the leadership and what it means, especially in Islamic history, where Quran Sharif, Allah's book, would then, expect every Muslim to believe in all the prophets. There are more than 24,000 prophets, but then few of them were mentioned, especially when you're oriented towards Middle East, and that's an amazing perspective. But then there's a little bit of confusion, and that's what my notes would explain it. So in Islam, there is Khilafat. The leadership style is Khilafat, whereas in the Western world it was kingdoms, and now in the Middle East there is kingdoms, as there is mostly kingdoms, whereas shared leadership is with kingdoms, with royal families in Netherlands or even in Britain or even in Norway, whereas East